Hello, welcome back to our next installment on video series of UC9. Today we're going to talk about licensing. What licensing options do I have available in UC9? Well, I've got two models really. I've got a User Connect licensing and a Workspace licensing. What's my difference? User Connect assumes one application per user. So if I'm configuring Call Manager, I'll buy licenses for a user to run a phone on Call Manager. If I want to run voicemail for that user, I'd buy a license on Unity Connection for that user. So every user has a different license within the different application that they want to use. Works well, doesn't scale very well. If I know, for example, I'm hiring someone tomorrow, I want to give them a phone, I want to give them voicemail, I want to give them Jabber, I don't necessarily want to go out and buy a different license for each one of those applications. How do I get around that? I get around that by using Cisco Unified Workspace Licensing or CUWL licensing. Like the UCL model where I buy a user, instead of buying the one application for that user, I buy a suite of users. So those are the two different licenses that we're going to look at in this video. So let's start with User Connect licensing, especially as it pertains to 9.x. Right? I've got multiple levels of User Connect. So first one we're going to talk about, I've got written down here is Essentials. So in an Essentials license, that assumes in Call Manager 9, I've either got an analog phone connected to that guy, I've got a 3905, or I've got a 6901. Those particular models will use a UCL Essentials license in Call Manager 9. So let's assume my next thing, I've got a 6911 or 6921. I might see that as a lobby phone, break room phone, kitchen phone, something along those lines, where I really just need basic dial tone. I don't need anything else. That one's going to be a basic. So a 6911, 6921, basic. The next step above that is enhanced. In an enhanced license UCL, I can have any Cisco phone out there. I can have one phone per user. So if I've got a 7900 series phone, no problem. I've got a 9900 series phone, no problem. One per user. But let's say I wanted two phones for that user, or I wanted a phone and a Jabber client for that user. That's two devices. In order to enable two devices per user, I'd go to the Enhanced Plus, which is our next model. So within the UCL world, I'm looking at Essential, which is essentially analog type devices. Basic, which I kind of look on as a lobby type phone. I've got Enhanced, which is one phone across the platform for one user. Or Enhanced Plus, where I can have two devices registered to that user. Make sense? Okay. That is still one application, one user. So let's look at CUWL licensing that we talked about earlier. Let's say John Smith starts tomorrow. I want to give him a phone. I want to give him voicemail. I want to give him Jabber. I don't want to have to buy licensing across all applications. I buy a CUWL licensing user. CUWL licensing comes in two flavors. I have CUWL Standard and I have CUWL Professional. What's the difference? Well, in the case of John Smith, who's starting tomorrow, he needs a phone, he needs voicemail. I want him on Jabber so we can IM back and forth, control the phone, things along those lines. So I'm going to give him that. But let's say I want some of the higher end applications. I've got a pool of people that I want to use WebEx meetings on, or WebEx Social for, or I want to install Contact Center, get Contact Center licensing. Within the CUWL Pro, those three licenses are included. So my difference in a CUWL world, it's multiple applications. The different level of CUWL will determine which applications you get. CUWL Standard, Call Manager, Unity Connection, and some form of Jabber, right? Presence internally or hosted. CUWL Pro will get you everything we got in CUWL Standard. It also includes WebEx Meetings, WebEx Social, and Contact Center Standard. So those are my different licensing models within a Cisco world. Next thing we want to talk about is maintenance and upgrades on those licenses. So within a Cisco world, I've got ESW support. So that support is what I buy on my licenses, right? If I have 100 users, I have ESW for 100 users. That ESW gets me minor release. And what do I mean by that? Let's say I want to go from 9.0 to 9.1. If I've got a valid ESW contract, I'm entitled to that software. It also gets me the ability to call TAC. And I can buy that support on a yearly basis. So I can cover my organization, budget for it year over year, and pay for it every year. So in-grade, in-revision upgrades, tax support, and purchased on a yearly minimum. The next thing we've got is UCSS, or Unified Communication Software Subscription. What does that mean? That is the ability to upgrade out of revision. So earlier we said ESW will get me from 9.0 to 9.1. What if I want to go from 7.x to 9.x? ESW wouldn't cover that. UCSS would. So if I have a valid UCSS contract and a valid ESW contract, I can now order those upgrades, and I'm entitled to the software. So if I have CUWL Standard, that means I can go from one earlier version such as 7 to 9 on Call Manager, on Unity, and on Presence. All of that's included in there. In this world, I have a 3-year minimum for commercial customers and a 1-year minimum for government customers. Also, my UCSS is tied back to my ESW. So a little bit of confusion, but think of ESW as my support, Cisco TAC, in-revision upgrades. UCSS, post-revision, right, 7 to 9. I've got a 1-year minimum for government, 3-year for commercial, and UCSS is tied back to ESW, so they both must be active. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.